Hi everybody. Today I am going to explain a petrol engine. This petrol engine specialty is it's a multi-point fuel injection MBFI engine. So we are doing two experiments in this machine. One is the conventional performance evaluation. Second one is the heat balance test. So today we will be discussing on how a heat balance test is done on a petrol engine. It's a general, whether it is petrol or diesel, it doesn't matter. In general, how a heat balance test is done on an engine. So before going into the experiment, let me introduce you about the fundamentals of this engine. This engine is a 4-cylinder engine. It's a multi-point fuel injection engine. So everybody knows what is an MBFI engine means. So air is being taken through the duct and it is been entering into a manifold. Then fuel from after filtration, so there is a fuel storage system. After filtration and after measuring, fuel is taken and it is being going to a secondary pump. The pump will pressurize the fuel and it will be supplied to the barrel. So there is a fuel system. Fuel system will start from the fuel tank, the fuel measuring system, then comes to the fuel filter and the fuel pump, then finally it comes to the barrel of the MBFI system. And similarly air system. So air is being taken from the atmosphere, it is filtered off, the turbulence is being minimized, and during the suction of the engine the air is being taken in. And there are a lot of sensors are being attached to this unit. This unit will be replacing the conventional carburetor of a petrol engine. So everybody knows what a carburetor means. Carburetor is a mixing unit of air and fuel as per the requirements and supplied to the various cylinders. So this is a multi-cylinder engine and a multi-point injection. So these are the injectors. So injectors are being provided in the track of the intake manifold. So air is being coming in, it is being going to the engine cylinder, and in that track fuel is being injected. So since it is been injecting at a fine particle, proper mixing is being ensured. So the mixture is entering into the engine and it has been working. Now what are the parameters to be observed? So let us assume that now the engine is working. How you have to load the engine? There are 2-3 systems for loading the engine. The conventional mechanical systems are there, electrical systems are there, then dynamometers. In general we call it as a dynamometers. Here we have a hydraulic dynamometer. So this hydraulic dynamometer consists of a set of vanes. Okay, it is similar to that of your turbine or it is similar to that of your pump. Okay, so inside this unit there is 2 sets of vanes are being there. Okay, it is similar to best example is similar to a torque converter. So how you are loading? You are loading the shaft of the engine. Okay, so that is possible by adjusting. Here you have a lever. This can be adjusted. So once you start the engine, it is to be ensured that water is flowing through the network. Okay, so there should be water intake system and water exit system. So the hydraulic converter is working when there is water available inside this. So if you want to load this, you turn this wheel. That can be displayed here. How you ensure that this is a correct load? So we can ensure that there is a balancing point here, coinciding point here. Okay. So once you adjust the wheels, this should be in line. That will be the correct loading at that time. So when these are coinciding, what reading you are getting here is the load. So we will start the engine at no load condition and then slowly we will load the engine at various loading conditions. So at various loading conditions, you have to observe various parameters. How much is the fuel consumed? So fuel consumption can be measured by using this Burette system. Okay, so this will measure. Normally we will be fixing, say example 10 cc fuel consumption or 20 cc fuel consumption. According to the requirement, we will set it as. So most of the case this is fixed. So fuel flow rate is being fixed. So this has been measured. Then how can you measure the quantity of air? So if you look at here, you can see a U2 manometer here. This is an air intake. Okay, and an orifice meter is connected in the track of the intake, and a differential U2 manometer is connected. So from this we can find out the flow rate of the air to the engine. Okay, so air flow rate is measured, fuel flow rate is measured, and then the load. So whatever observations are there, time consumed for, say example, 10 cc fuel consumption, and then the corresponding load, then the flow rate of air. Now for example, no load conditions. So heat balance, in the heat balance system, when the fuel is being taken in the combustion process, the chemical energy of the fuel is being converted into thermal energy. And this thermal energy is being converted into the useful work. Okay? As you know that the term we are using is the brake thermal. So brake power you are getting, and you have seen that the efficiency of an engine, an IC engine, is in between say 20 to 30 or 30 to 30, at the most it is 35 only. That means a major portion of the energy is being wasted. So what are the ways by which the energy is being wasted? So heat balance test will be saying you or getting you what are the ways by which the heat energy is being lost from the engine. So let us come to the engine again. So the combustion is being taking place, engine is working, and you are getting a portion of the energy supplied by the fuel converting into the useful work or the brake power, and the remaining, let us trace the exhaust gas. So exhaust gas, you could see that this is the exhaust gas line. There is a manifold on the other side. This is a 4-cylinder engine. So exhaust gas from all the cylinders are being collected together in the manifold, and it is being expelled out through a calorimeter. So the exhaust gas line, we are using a calorimeter. Okay? So in the calorimeter, exhaust gas is coming in and it is leaving out. And how to get the energy content of this exhaust gas? This is a basic fundamental equation. mCp delta T will give you the energy content of this exhaust gas. But you don't have to measure the mass flow rate of the exhaust gas as such. So what you will do, mass flow rate of the exhaust gas is being estimated from the quantity of fuel, that is mass flow rate of fuel plus mass flow rate of air. Then the delta T, the temperature at this point and temperature at this point. That means temperature at the inlet of the calorimeter and the exit of the calorimeter of the exhaust gas will give you the delta T. In CPU don't have values. So CPU you have to find out from equating. So it's a calorimeter. So cooling water is being supplied to one point. This is supply point and this is the leaving point. Cooling water is entering at one point and it is circulating through this and coming out. So you can measure the cooling water flow rate by means of rotameter. So rotameters are being used. Centimeter cube per second will give you the flow rate of water. So cooling water flow rate is measured by means of a rotameter, and the Cp value of water is known. The temperature at the inlet, that is at this point at this point. So temperature delta T also can be measured. So cooling water temperature difference delta T, cooling water mass flow rate, and cooling water Cp. So this is known. So from this you can find out that total energy content. On the other side you have the exhaust gas temperature difference, exhaust gas mass flow rate, and you can estimate the Cp of this. So thereby you can calculate the energy that is being carried away by the exhaust gas. So exhaust gas still it will be at a higher temperature and it contains energy. So that can be found out using this. So one portion of the heat is being carried away by exhaust gas. One portion of the heat is being utilized for the converting into useful work, the brake power, and the other one, the engine jacket. So you know the IC engines, most of the IC engines, especially multi-cylinder engines, are water-cooled engines. The water will be circulating through the jacket of this engine. Everybody knows the basics. So a cooling water is circulating through the jacket, and it is exchanging, the hot engine parts is exchanging heat with the cooling water. That means the cooling water will also carry away some amount of the energy. So that you can find out by means of measuring the cooling water flow rate, measuring the temperature difference of the cooling water, and Cp is known by. So for that you need another rotameter. So this rotameter will measure the flow rate of the cooling water to the jacket of the engine. Please remember that it is for the jacket cooling water. This is for the exhaust gas. Okay, this is for the exhaust gas and this is for the engine jacket cooling. So thereby you can find out so you are estimated the heat equivalent to brake power, that is a useful work. You find out the heat carried away by the exhaust gas, and you find out the heat carried away by the cooling water that is circulating through the jacket. So three components are there: heat equivalent to brake power, heat carried away by exhaust gas, heat carried away by cooling water. But remember that there is one more element. If you calculate the three, when you sum up together, it won't be equal. That means some other way the heat is being lost. So heat can be lost by radiation, the convection, the conduction losses. So that in general we call it as the unaccountable losses. So you can find out, once you know the heat input, once you know the other three components, you can find out the unaccountable losses from this by plotting a graph against the brake power. Before you start the engine, every engine there are some precautions. So you have to ensure that the engine is free of load. So it should be no load conditions, and there should be sufficient quantity of fuel in the fuel tank, and you have to ensure that the cooling water is available for both for the jacket and for the hydraulic dynamometer. Then you can start the engine. Now the engine is started, and the observations, you have to find out the temperature of cooling water inlet outlet in the calorimeter, also the cooling water inlet of the engine jacket. So there are thermocouples attached with the various points, and of course you can find out the temperature from this in a digital form, and this is a selector for finding the temperature at the corresponding points. If you want to get the temperature of, say, example calorimeter corresponding to the point, you can turn the knob and then so engine should be running at a constant speed. So it's a constant speed, and only the load is being varying. Load is varying for taking different set of readings. The engine is being loaded by turning this wheel in the anti-clockwise direction. So when you turn this, the gap, the position between the impellers inside this will be slightly changing. In between that impellers, the water is being flowing, and now you can see that in the dial, the reading corresponding to this is being 1. Okay, this indicate the value of W, and in order to ensure this, you have to make sure that this point, this can be adjusted by turning this wheel. Okay. So this is the main position, right? So, because the entire unit is being swinging, you have to ensure that this will be coinciding. So then only you can take the correct load. The temperature of water inlet to the engine and the calorimeter. So this is almost at the room temperature. Now it reads 27 degrees centigrade. And when you turn the knob, the second point will give you the temperature of the water at the outlet of the calorimeter, and it's around 46 degrees centigrade. And next is the temperature of water outlet of the calorimeter and temperature of exhaust gas. The temperature of exhaust gas is around 139 degrees centigrade. That may be slightly being varying. So this indicates the temperature of the exhaust gas to the inlet of the calorimeter, and this will indicate the temperature of the gas at the exit of the calorimeter. And this is almost the same as the cooling water jacket water temperature inlet. Ambient temperature.